more people stay poor because of their egos than get rich off them.
Yeah.
At the moment, it seems like egos are being valorized on the internet, especially among men's advice.
Yeah.
How is it that more people stay poor because of their egos than get rich off them, if there's a bunch of examples of people with seemingly big egos that also have money?
I think that's what's the fallacy? Whatever the cognitive fallacy for what's in front of your eyes. I think there are far more people. Was it
availability bias?
There you go.
Yep.
I think there are far more people who are successful and significantly more successful than the people who are visible on content and I would say many of those people aren't actually that successful. And so if we're looking at the objective measure of success as like net worth, just for the sake of this conversation, there are far more people who are rich and anonymous than there are people who flaunt their Lamborghinis that they rented for a day. Now if you really think about the influencer world of business, there are not that many guys who actually like are really in the game. Like, most of those guys sell something from their platform about building a platform. Like that's 90, not even 95. It's probably like 98, 99%. And so there's only like a very small select. And to be fair, those guys are all pretty humble. Like you look at the Garys, you look at the Andys, you look at the Tom Billy, like these Ed Milet, like like the guys who have become in the business space, like they're not particularly egotistical guys, and it's usually because they know what hard feels like. And they know what it's like to be inadequate over and over and over again, because you only can be inadequate if you go to another level. If you feel amazing, it's because you haven't moved up.
Does that mean that if somebody wants to be successful and they feel like they've still got an ego, that they need to do some work on dissolving that?
I think they just need to do harder things. Like you need to fight harder opponents. Like
because the only way
winning in this little pool.
The only way you can maintain an ego is by believing that you're a big fish in a little pond.
Right.
Or a big fish in whatever size pond you think it is. And if you're a big fish, you're not in a big enough pond.
It's totally delusion. It's hard to comprehend. Like, Bezos, if you've heard any of his interviews, seems like a very humble guy. But like, you could have 100 billionaires in a room and he is worth the same amount as them. And then if you had each one of those billionaires is 1,000 millionaires, he's still worth the same amount as 100,000 millionaires and him. So like, there's just levels to it. And I think the moment you get to ego is the moment you stop growing, because you feel like you beat the level, but you just keep repeating the level rather than moving up, because there is a harder boss and they just haven't faced it yet.
I suppose it's an easy way, if you were going to a karate class, but you decided instead of going to the adult one to go to the one that's under 11s. Yeah. And you're going to kick the fuck out of all of these. Yeah.
And you video kids. It and you're like, look at me. And it just happens to be that they're the same size as you. And like, just imagine they're like dumb on the inside, but they're adult size, and you're kicking the shit out of them. It's like, yeah, do it to Jones. Yeah. Right. Like not going to happen. Yeah. And so like, I'm going to say this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to say this the way that I take this the way I mean it. I get comments from people who are like, love your humility, Alex. And like, I don't think I'm that humble of a guy, being real, at least internally in my own head. But I am reminded daily of my inadequacy on the business game, because like right now we've moved up a level in terms of like now we're doing deals. Now we're investing in companies. We're taking on big risk. We're writing checks, like another level of the game than just owning one. Not to say that owning one business and growing it is not hard. It absolutely is a different kind of hard. But like I'm getting into this game and I'm absolutely the small fish. Like Warren Buffett made $90 billion on the trade he made in Apple in 2020. One move. Right. And so I'm like, I am entering into like, how could I say that I'm good? Like, even if I was exceptional, it's still going to take 20 years to prove it. So like, I can't say anything. And by that point, I'll probably have other guys who are fucking titans at that point to remind me of the fact that I'm not as good as them.
So in your estimation, is the presence of an ego something which artificially limits the size of the vision of how high you want to climb?
Yeah, 100%. And because you can't both say that you cannot admit deficits and say you're awesome at the same time, in my opinion. Like, I can't say like, I suck at all these things and then also be like, I'm the best. Like, you can't do it. You either like, you suck at all these things. And I think it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is like, the more you learn about something, the more you realize you don't know. And so I think that if you have a tiny subset of things that you are studying and a tiny subset of people you're comparing yourself to, then it's really easy to feel awesome about yourself. But if you compare yourself to, I compare myself every day to Warren Buffett. And like, him and Munger are like my heroes, mostly because the way they lived life and what they like, just everything about the way they lived is something that I just love. And like, I have Buffett's net worth by age tracked, and I have like mine tracked, and I'm like, all right, just gotta stay above that line. And
are you above it? He's got a big line at the moment?
I am right now. But like, I had like his world was different.
Yeah.
Like Warren didn't have Warren to learn from.
Yes, very interesting. It's I mean, we spoke about this at the very, very start, where you were saying you have the opportunity of using the blueprint that has been laid down by me.
Yeah.
It's like, if you've got nothing to lose, do the me thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have all of the mistakes, all of the failures, and all of the successes. And there was another one where you said, the rarer you are, the rarer the people are who share your perspective. In this way, the greater your success, the fewer people you can share it with. A lot of people don't necessarily realize it's a price that's going to need to be paid. If you want to achieve a ton of success, you end up at this rarefied strata out in the troposphere somewhere. And you're like, well, I got like 5 people that I can talk to that understand what I'm going through at the moment.
Yeah.
Or another question as well, is that a combination of hubris and self-delusion? Like, is that true?
Yeah.
Or are there things that the bus driver or the lady that's